Imagine waking up one morning and discovering your life savings are worth half of what they were yesterday. Not because you spent a cent, but because your currency collapsed overnight. Sounds extreme? It's not fiction. It's the silent war happening right now, a currency war. James Rickards, in his groundbreaking book Currency Wars, The Making of the Next Global Crisis, argues that the most powerful nations on Earth don't always fight with armies, they fight with money. This war doesn't destroy cities. It destroys wealth, trust, and the stability of nations. A currency war happens when countries intentionally devalue their own money to gain an advantage in global trade. It's economic manipulation at the highest level. When a nation's currency is cheap, its exports suddenly look like bargains to the rest of the world. But if every country tries to devalue at once, it becomes a race to the bottom, a cycle that can spin out of control. No one wins in the long run. Rickards shows that these conflicts have happened before, and history proves how destructive they can be. The first major currency war began after World War I. Countries were drowning in debt, so they printed money to survive. The result was hyperinflation, especially in Germany, which led to political chaos and eventually another global war. During the Great Depression, nations raised tariffs and devalued currencies, each trying to save itself. Global trade froze, and economic collapse deepened. The lesson: economic desperation breeds financial manipulation. The second wave began in the 1,970 seconds after the US abandoned the gold standard. Money was no longer backed by gold, but by trust, and trust is fragile. Exchange rates swung wildly. Nations met in the Plaza Accord of 1985 to coordinate currency values, hoping to stabilise the system. That era showed that when money becomes political, stability becomes negotiable. The third and current wave began after the 2008 financial crisis. To save the system, central banks unleashed a flood of printed money through quantitative easing. The US, Europe, and Japan pumped trillions into the global economy. On the surface, it looked like recovery, but beneath it, a quiet war was brewing. Rickards calls this the most dangerous currency war yet, because it's global, digital, and largely invisible. At its heart, a currency war is psychological. Currencies have value only because people believe they do. Governments exploit this belief. They manipulate interest rates, flood markets with liquidity, and use complex language to manage expectations. Central bankers know their words move markets, and they use that power carefully. In this sense, words become weapons, shaping how billions of dollars flow around the world. Rickards argues that the US dollar is both a weapon and a weakness. As the world's reserve currency, it gives America enormous influence. Every country needs dollars for trade and reserves. But printing too many dollars risks losing global confidence. When that happens, other nations begin diversifying into gold, crypto, or regional currencies, slowly eroding the dollar's dominance. If trust in the dollar collapses, interest rates could skyrocket, and inflation could spiral not just in the US, but everywhere. Meanwhile, new players are challenging the old order. China maintains tight control of its currency to dominate exports, while Russia has spent years accumulating gold and building systems that bypass the dollar entirely. Together, they're leading a quiet rebellion, not with weapons, but with financial strategy. Rickards warns that this could usher in a new global monetary system, perhaps based on a mix of currencies or even a digital world reserve. Speaking of digital, Rickards' early insights seem almost prophetic today. He wrote Currency Wars before Bitcoin went mainstream. Yet his ideas predicted a world where digital money would redefine power. Cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are the new front lines. They promise efficiency, but also new forms of control. Imagine money that expires after a certain time, or transactions that can be turned off by a single government command. This isn't science fiction, it's the next phase of the currency war. Control the code, and you control the economy. So, what can you actually do about it? Rickards urges individuals to diversify, not just financially, but mentally. Don't think in one currency or one system. Understand how central banks operate. Learn how policy translates into reality. Hold assets that retain real value, like productive businesses or scarce commodities. Most importantly, never outsource your financial understanding. Knowledge is the best hedge against uncertainty. Still, Rickards' ideas aren't without controversy. Critics say his forecasts can sound overly dramatic or pessimistic. True, not every prediction has played out exactly as he described. But even his harshest critics admit he asks the right questions, questions few others dare to ask. Who benefits when a country devalues its currency? Why do some crises seem conveniently timed? What happens when money itself becomes a tool of policy rather than a medium of exchange? These questions open your eyes to how interconnected global finance truly is. The deeper message of currency wars is that economics is not just numbers, it's human behaviour on a global scale. Behind every policy are emotions, fear of collapse, greed for power, the desire for control. When a government prints money, it's not just a technical move, it's an emotional one. It says, we're afraid of losing stability. Markets react in kind, driven by collective psychology disguised as data. Once you grasp that, you realise currency wars are really contests of belief. Whoever commands the most trust wins. Looking ahead, Rickards believes we're heading toward a global monetary reset, a rebalancing of the system. Maybe a digital reserve currency, maybe a partial return to gold, maybe something entirely new. Every few decades, the world changes the rules of money, and we're due for another shift. Crises accelerate change. Power follows liquidity, and those who understand the game before it changes are the ones who come out ahead. The beauty of Rickards' book is that it arms you with perspective. It doesn't just tell you what to think about the global economy, it shows you how to think about it. You learn to read between the headlines, to question the motives behind policy, and to recognise that every solution in finance often comes with hidden costs. Ultimately, currency wars reminds us that money is never neutral. Every policy, every bailout, every currency swap carries political intent. But you're not powerless in that system. Awareness itself is power. When you understand how money moves and why you stop reacting and start anticipating. So here's the takeaway. Currency wars aren't fought in secret chambers. They're happening every day, in exchange rates, central bank announcements, and even in the words used by politicians. Understanding this invisible battlefield helps you protect your wealth and your mindset. James Rickards' message is clear. If you want to thrive in the next global shift, you must see through the illusion of money and understand the power behind it. In this war, knowledge is your strongest currency. If this breakdown helped you see money in a new light, don't stop here. Pick up Currency Wars by James Rickards. It's one of the most eye-opening reads on how the world really works. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology of economics, wealth, and power, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Do you think the next world war is already happening, not on the battlefield, but in our wallets?